Think about the puzzle platformer genre and think about what types of games you first think of. There are a lot of different platformers that have puzzle elements, but there are a lot of type of puzzle platformers out there. The first thing I think of, especially in recent times, are puzzle platformers that incorporate physics elements into the game. Games like Nihilumbra and Elemental that have different physics type elements in order to get from one side of the stage to another and give you a lot of strategy. There have been quite a few of these games on the Vita lately that I've reviewed, and today I have a review for another one. Having released on the PlayStation Vita, PlayStation TV, and cross-buy with the PS4 version, here is my official review of Badland Game of the Year Edition. Badland Game of the Year Edition is an enhanced version of the same game that released on mobile a year or two ago. The game itself is a side-scrolling puzzle game that has you flying through various areas and hazards using physics elements as well as others such as changing your size, changing your weight, changing the speed of the world, and other things to be able to get past certain traps to get to the end of the stage and get to the next stage and complete this day of survival. Now, as you play through the game, you will be a flying creature that will be of various shapes depending on what you pass through each stage. You could be a sphere or you could be a cube, and what you are depends on what hurts you and what doesn't. If you're a sphere, the razor traps can instantly kill you, but if you're a square, they can't do anything to you at all. The point of the game is to get from point A to point B with yourself intact. As you go throughout the game, you will be able to pick up various power-ups to increase your size and decrease your size. Despite just size, this also increases and decreases your weight. Some of the physics elements require weight as well. There might be a large platform that you have to crush underneath your own weight, so you'll have to collect the power-ups as you go through to increase your size to the biggest possible size. There are also other power-ups that will allow you to slow down time to carefully maneuver traps, as well as the fact that you can pick up clones of yourself along the way. This part of the game can make you feel bad at times, because when you have a group of clones, only one of you needs to get to the end for you to complete the stage. So let's say you pick up a group of 20 clones and you go through a huge razor trap. The clones will block the traps for you and you will see them that look just like you getting ripped to shreds just to let you go by and go to the next stage. It can be a little sad at first, but you can really get used to it. Now, the game has over 100 different stages, even though only 40 of those is the main campaign. Each stage, if you do really well in it, can take only a minute or two to complete. But since there are 100 stages in total to go through, which is more than the mobile release had, this can take several hours for you to finish. There's not a huge amount of content, and the game does get repetitive over time because you're essentially just doing the same thing over and over, but with slightly different environments or slightly different difficulty. But despite this, there are multiplayer options that you can do ad hoc with, especially if you're playing on the PlayStation TV. You can hook up 2 controllers and do local multiplayer. But all in all, the game does get repetitive over time if you do it all in one sitting. Now, as far as the presentation is concerned, everything looks good for the most part. The visual presentation has a good mix-up of 2D and 3D visuals. The plane where you're flying through is all done in 2D from the environments to your characters, but in the background, much like the backgrounds in Child of Light, there are a lot of 3D elements going into effect, kind of doing a mix-up of 2D and 3D all in one game. Now, the big problem with the presentation is that there's a minor slowdown problem. There are power-ups that slow down time, but aside from these, there are also sections of the game where the game's performance will drop a little bit, and you'll see some slowdown and lag for a couple seconds. This isn't a huge hindrance on the game, but it is something that you should make note of. Badland Game of the Year Edition is a neat little physics-based flying platformer that can easily take up a good amount of time if you like the genre. On the downside, the game does get repetitive over time, and there are some slowdown and lag issues. If you can look past these, this is definitely worth the trek if you just want a little game for pick-up and play sessions if you're on the move. PlayStation Vita Reviews rates Badland Game of the Year Edition an 8 out of 10. If you have any further questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below, or go to our site at vitareviews.net, or head to our forum at forum.vitareviews.net.